Have you ever found yourself wondering what is actually going on inside a tool like ChatGPT? I mean, how does it write a poem, or debug a piece of code, or answer your weirdest questions so convincingly? Well, let's pull back the curtain, and in the next few minutes, we're going to unpack the incredible technology that's powering this whole AI revolution, the large language model.
It really felt like it happened overnight, didn't it? Back in November 2022, when ChatGPT was released, it just set off this tidal wave. All of a sudden, this ridiculously powerful AI wasn't just for researchers anymore. It was available to everyone. And that sparked this huge surge in public interest, a flood of investment, and really it was the moment AI became a household name.
So what exactly are these tools? What are we really talking about? Let's start by just breaking down the name itself.
Okay, large language model, or LLM. Each of those words tells us something important. Large refers to the sheer scale of these things. We're talking billions, sometimes even trillions of parameters. Language is its whole world. It's built to process and generate human text. And model points to its underlying structure, which is often something called a transformer architecture. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying it's a system that is incredibly good at understanding context and the relationships between words in a sentence.
Now, what's really wild is just how fast this all happened. I mean, look at the timeline. The leap from the early models to something like GPT-3 was just monumental. GPT-3 was trained on a mind-boggling 300 billion tokens of text. That's basically a giant slice of the internet. And that gave it abilities that just seemed like science fiction a few years earlier. And now, with GPT-4 and beyond, that complexity is just continuing to skyrocket.
So how in the world do you actually build one of these digital brains? It's incredibly complex, of course, but the basic idea can be broken down into a few key steps.
First, you just hoover up a colossal amount of text data from the web. Then you chop all that text up into smaller pieces, called tokens. Step 3 is where the real magic starts to happen. The model is trained over and over and over on one simple task, predicting the next token in a sequence. And finally, it gets fine-tuned with a process called reinforcement learning with human feedback, which is basically where humans score the AI's answers to teach it to be more helpful and, safer.
And this right here is maybe the most crucial thing to understand. An LLM doesn't understand things the way a person does. It is a master of probability. When you give it a prompt, it's not thinking, it's calculating, token by token, what the most likely next word should be, based on all the patterns it learned from that mountain of training data. It's a sophisticated pattern matcher, a prediction engine.
Now, knowing that it's a prediction engine completely changes how we should talk to it. And that brings us to the single most important skill for anyone using this tech, learning how to ask the right questions. It's a skill called prompt engineering. Just look at this example. A vague prompt like, "Tell me about dogs," is going to get you a super generic, kind of boring answer. But if you get specific, if you ask about the characteristics and behavior of a certain breed, you guide the model to give you a much more focused and useful response. Clarity is absolutely king.
You can also take control by adding constraints. So instead of just asking for a creative poem, you can specify the length, the topic, the style. This is how you really start to shape the AI's output to fit exactly what you need.
Okay, here's a pro tip. Give the model a persona. Tell it to act as an AI assistant, or a teacher, or maybe a travel guide. It's a simple trick, but it primes the model to respond in a very specific format and tone, and it can dramatically improve how relevant the answer is.
All right, so now we know how to talk to these things. Let's look at what they're actually doing out there in the real world. Because this technology is already transforming entire industries, but it also comes with some pretty significant risks that we really need to be aware of. I mean, the applications are just incredible. In healthcare, you've got doc bots offering initial medical advice. In retail, they're creating these personalized shopping experiences. In the tech world, tools like Copilot are helping programmers write and fix code way faster. And in law, they're automating legal research that used to take junior lawyers days and days to complete.
And they do get it wrong. Because remember, these models are prediction engines. They're not databases of facts. And that means they have some really important inherent limitations. Okay, the biggest pitfall is something called a hallucination. This is when the model just makes things up. It can generate facts, cite sources that don't exist, or create code that refers to libraries that aren't real, and it does it all with complete unwavering confidence. And this right here is why you can never just copy and paste. Independent verification is absolutely essential.
Another huge issue is bias. The model itself isn't born biased, but it's trained on the internet, which is a reflection of us, warts and all. So if its training data contains societal biases related to race or gender or different professions, the LLM is going to learn those biases, and it can even amplify them in its answers.
So just to recap, the key limitations to always remember are: it lacks deep, specialized knowledge, it's prone to making stuff up, it can reflect our own biases back at us, and it's super sensitive to exactly how you phrase your prompts. Keeping these in mind is just crucial for using these tools critically and effectively.
And all of this, the incredible power and the serious pitfalls, it all leads to one final critical point: the user's role in this new AI-powered world. The conversation around AI often swings between these two extremes, right? On one side, you have people saying, this is basically magic, a step towards true thinking machines. And on the other, there's this fear that it's a menace, a dangerous force that we can't control. Well, the reality is, it's a lot more nuanced. They are not sentient, they are not magic, they are tools. They are incredibly powerful, they are deeply flawed, and they are, without a doubt, transformative tools. And just like any tool, their impact depends entirely on how we choose to use them.
And that's why the most important part of this whole equation isn't the model's architecture or the size of its dataset, it's the person writing the prompt. It's the human in the loop, guiding, verifying, and ultimately taking responsibility for the output.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it means always verifying critical information. It means being constantly aware of the potential for bias and hallucinations. It means crafting thoughtful and ethical prompts, and it means being transparent about when you use these tools in your work.
Look, we've just scratched the surface here, but you now have a basic map of what a large language model is, how it works, and its potential and its pitfalls. So the real question is, with this powerful new engine at your fingertips, what are you going to create and where will you choose to go?